Hello, everyone. Welcome to Toxic Love. Let's go ahead and pull the 3 signs I'm going to be reading for today. Taurus, Cancer, and Aries. All right, guys. You guys are up for this Monday's Toxic Love reading. All right, Taurus, Cancer, and Aries. So we'll be right back with Taurus. Hello, Taurus. We're going to get right into pulling out your shadow flames energy. We have dependent, escapist, distant, warning, and pain. So these are the shadow energies that may or may not be part of this toxic connection that we're going to read on for you today. Let's go ahead and get right into your reading. All right, so dependent, escapist, distant, warning, and pain. Let's see how this all works out for you today. For you, you have 2 of Wands, 3 of Pentacles, 9 of Wands, and the 5 of Swords. Your person is coming in with Queen of Cups, Queen of Wands, King of Wands, and the 2 of Cups. At the bottom of this deck, you have the Queen of Pentacles. So, yeah, let's go ahead and start to look at this reading, how you two are both coming into this toxic connection. Right away, when I see escapist, 2 of Wands is there and Queen of Cups. So, right now, there's a feeling for you, Taurus, of wanting to get away and move forward. Move forward sort of with your plans, while your person is coming in with a feeling of wanting to be much more close, wanting to be, they're kind of thinking about their feelings for you. They're thinking about wanting to engage with you. And you're fully kind of right now looking forward, right? You're looking ahead. And so this is just the energy that both of you are coming into sort of this period with in this toxic connection. We're going to go ahead and start pulling some clarifiers to see. Let's get a little bit deeper now and begin to see what's going on a deeper level here with this toxic connection, because of course this is indeed a toxic love reading, right? So let's see what is going sideways here. 5 of Pentacles, there you have. Yeah. And 6 of Swords. Wow. So, yeah, 5 of Pentacles, 6 of Swords. For you, Taurus, there was a loss, right? I think there was a loss. And your person was part of that. They moved away. They went away. They may have turned their back on you, right? And it almost feels as though this has happened, and yet now that you have yourself kind of together, they want to come back and sort of be much more intimate again, have those conversations, but because they've clearly clearly left, they've clearly sort of turned their back on you at some point, and went away. Took themselves away, and it really left you physically. I'm going to say here, Taurus. Really kind of like struggling, right? You may have had to move. You may have had issues with financial flow as a result of them leaving in such a way. And yet now they want to kind of be emotional and cozy again. They want to talk about matters of the heart, right? And you're kind of like, wow, yeah, I'm just now getting myself together, 2 of Wands energy. And now you're coming in. How do you guys see each other? They kind of went away to go ahead and follow their own plans. 3 of Pentacles, you saw them as somebody who really, it could very well be that this person left, on a promise of some kind of, success in business. And you were kind of forsaken in this regard. So they decided to leave and move forward with their plans. And perhaps those plans didn't really work out so well, because that's, of course, how you see them. Now, they see you, Queen of Wands energy. I think for them, they're realizing that you're much more resilient. We have distant and escapist. So this is starting to come through, because I think your person, this was a toxic connection with somebody who kind of took you for granted. They left you, right? They left you for something else that they thought would be better, whether that, and that something else almost seems as though it was like maybe even work or a job or some kind of promise of money. But rather than take you with them, they left. You kind of, you're resilient, right? Yeah, they see you as the Queen of Wands. They see you as being very strong, very wise, and very resilient. And it kind of did not lay you low. I'm not sure that they intentionally meant to lay you low or hurt you, but they were certainly not concerned with your well-being. Four of Swords energy and Nine of Cups. So listen, this person is indeed coming quite happy with themselves, right? And I think you're dealing with somebody who is, again, yeah, they're kind of escapist and distant. This keeps coming back to me, these being the main energies perhaps that are coming through, because they are the type of individual here that is sort of like they come into you and then, but they play with you, right? They play with you and then they're distant and then they escape and then they leave to go do their own thing. And then they come back. And it almost feels as though now, you know, they're continuing to try to play that out with you again. I do feel, Taurus, that this time you're much more resolute about moving forward and not playing these games with them, right? Ultimately, they come through with some bliss here, which is quite interesting. Nine of Cups is really happy, but it's also indulgent happiness here when we're talking about a shadow reading. For you, Taurus, you're coming in with this kind of like, look, you're not going to catch me with this mood again. You're not going to catch me with the same sort of tactics that you did before. Taurus, I think you're dealing with somebody who really plays on your heartstrings when they want to engage with you. And I just don't think you're falling for that anymore. I think you're being much more reserved. And you're really thinking about your moves. They're just not able to sort of trigger you the way they used to be able to. Now, how do you guys see your roles in this relationship? Well, interestingly enough, you know, you continue to see yourself as struggling here. You're still in the healing process of coming out of this connection with this person. I think they did a lot of damage in the past in terms of, you know, this triggering process, back and forth, back and forth. And so you're wanting to be away from them long enough to feel as though you've really gotten over this connection with them, to feel as though you're really past it, that you're really at this sort of stage here of wanting to sort of move on with your own sort of plans regardless, right? They come as King of Wands. You're dealing with somebody who's very arrogant. They continue to see themselves as a part of your life. They continue to see themselves as somebody who has some authority in your life. I get the vibe here, Taurus, that you're dealing with somebody who, even when you are away from them, you've distanced yourself, you said it's over, even when you're not being triggered in your usual way, they are so confident and arrogant about their position in your life that they kind of continue to assume that you will always be theirs. They will, you know, that you, if they truly, truly want you, they will always be able to really, really get you. That, you know, the only reason you're behaving the way you're behaving now and pulling back is because they haven't really pulled out all the stops. And, you know, they continue to really see themselves as the master manipulator here, and also as the master, full stop, right? You're dealing with somebody who just is not, they just won't accept that this is over per se. Like they know that there's always a window of opportunity with you. Empress energy is how you come in. This is very much your energy. Empress and Lovers. Interesting. Lovers and Two of Cups. So to clarify this Nine of Wands here, you know, is Empress. And so that just reclarifies that right now you are at that stage where you're continuing to make yourself the priority here, right? You're definitely at a new place. I'm not sure that this person here sees it or is willing to accept it, but you're absolutely at that place now where you really are putting yourself first. And although here, I come here, what do they get to reclarify? Lovers, right? Lovers over that King of Wands. As I say, they continue to be arrogant. They continue to believe that you and them are meant to be together regardless, right? Whether they leave or come back, they don't really see that as having any sort of long-term effect. Strangely enough, you're dealing with somebody who's quite toxic in the way they treat you, and yet they continue to maintain the fact that they're connected to you as a soulmate. You're just dealing with somebody who's deeply, deeply immature as far as relationships are concerned and toxic, and yet it has no real bearing on their belief of how much they love you. This person truly believes that they're in love with you, and they truly believe that you are soulmates. And you may indeed be soulmates, Taurus, and yet it doesn't change the fact that they're coming and going and coming and going, and the way that they treat you oftentimes is very toxic. Right? Okay, so possible outcomes for this connection for you. This is interesting. Five of Swords. It's a battle that you are not willing to have anymore with them, and a Two of Cups with them. Listen, I think they continue to come back to you. Okay, I think they continue to come back to you, and they may try to re-enter your life yet again, or they may try to really, in a very much more definitive and sort of aggressive, and I don't mean like in a dangerous way, but like much more sort of like, yeah, I'm back sort of thing, or yeah, I really want this with you. And yet the battle with them continues. And you kind of give in, right? Like, I'm not saying that you necessarily give in to being with them again or making that agreement. You give in to not wanting to battle with them anymore. And the form that that possibly takes is up to you, Taurus. These are just possible outcomes in this connection. But it does seem as though it's not over yet. You know what I mean? This isn't over yet, but there's definitely a feeling here of you having sort of moved on with your life, and also really, really trying to move even further on with your life. And yet this isn't over yet, and they will be back. Bottom of the deck was Queen of Pentacles, and she's really, she is a solitary figure. She has a lot in common with the Empress. And so I want you to lean into that, Taurus, with this individual in terms of lean into self-nurturing right now. Lean into taking, putting yourself first and putting yourself ahead of any sort of desires that this person wants. Because again, it feels to me like you're still dealing with disentangling yourself from this person. It can take time. Oftentimes we want to leave a toxic connection. We feel like boom, boom, it's just over, but it just doesn't work like that. It can take time to disentangle, and you're kind of at this stage now where you really need to maintain yourself as a focus in your life so you can continue to be making these strides forward and not allow this person to sort of play the same game they have before, which I believe is a love bombing game, a pulling on your heartstrings game, we're meant to be together sort of trip. You know what I mean? Watch out for all of that. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. We are going to come right back with the second sign that I pulled today for the toxic love reading, and that's the sign of Cancer. Hello, Cancer. We're going to get right into pulling your twin flames shadow energies, projecting, vengeful, disconnected, dependent, and misguided. These are the 5 shadow energies that this toxic love reading may involve, right? We're going to jump right into pulling out your cards for this connection. Now, this is a toxic love connection reading, so we're going to pull out cards for you and your person. We have Temperance, the Lovers, Page of Swords, and Two of Pentacles. For your person in this connection, we have 7 of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, 4 of Wands, and the 5 of Cups. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Ace of Cups. All right, so this almost feels to me, Cancer, like This is a new connection that's starting off quite toxic, right? It's like new, but it's already got issues. Let us go ahead and just take a look at how you two are coming in. Temperance and Seven of Pentacles. Wow. So for you, you're just like Cancer, you're just holding back. You know, you're holding back. You're trying not to get, you know, too emotional or too triggered or, you know, just too involved, right? You're just holding back. Your person, Seven of Pentacles energy, they're trying to decide right now, like what is it that they're wanting? What is it that they want? What is it? How do they want to move forward? They're reevaluating everything about their physical, you know, life, their job. They're like in a state of just contemplative reevaluation. So they're not in any kind of state right now to make any real good choices or decisions. So this is just the general energy that you're both coming in with. Let's begin to sort of go a little bit deeper and see where this is going. So Three of Pentacles for you, Page of Pentacles for them. So yeah, for you, Cancer, you're continuing to sort of like work towards your own goals. You're really involved with your own sort of progress, perhaps at work, in your life. You're like kind of fixated right now on your own goals. And yet your person, they're going through a period of sort of reevaluating a lot of what they're doing with themselves, where they're at, right? And they're kind of wanting to, I want to say they're kind of wanting to perhaps start something new, start something different in their life to increase their financial flow. And I think they're looking toward you for that, right? So now when we take a look at this in terms of toxic love and looking at this as a shadow reading, it almost comes across as if you're quite busy right now, Cancer, and you're dealing with somebody who may be a little bit of an opportunist because they see what they have and they want more, and what they want more of is from you. How do you guys see each other? When you see them, you see lover's energy, right? So they're presenting to you as somebody who wants to be next to you as a lover, but when they see you for your goal getting and your achievement and your sort of tenacity, and they see that. So it's interesting. It's almost coming in, excuse me, as if you're dealing with somebody who's presenting with a lot of love energy, but their ultimate sort of desire is the financial status or the financial security that you provide, right? And so here we get into a little bit of this toxicity. Again, we have Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck, Cancer. So this is a new connection. I don't think you know this person very well. And I think they're kind of schmoozing you, to be honest with you. Five of Pentacles, wow. So, and Empress energy. Interestingly enough, you kind of go through a bit of a rough patch here, right? Five of Pentacles energy. And yet they present with Empress. So look, you may begin, this is a new love connection, right? Cancer, you may have been involved with them, or you're just starting out with them. But now over this period of time, right, with this person, you may be finding yourself less and less at work, or you may be finding yourself with less and less money, less and less cash flow, excuse me, feeling less and less stable in your own sort of space, right? And they seem to get better and better and better, right? They present with Empress energy. They're luxuriating. They might be allowing you really to pamper and spoil them. And really to the detriment of yourself, because you're going through, you start off with this person and you're doing very well. You're making money. You're working with others. And like slowly but surely, all of that is disappearing. You're working less with others. You're not making as much money. They're kind of doing great. And so here we see some of this toxicity. I think, Cancer, that you're dealing with somebody who's an opportunist and who's also perhaps been even exploiting you to a degree, or just simply siphoning off of you, sucking off of you, like maintaining themselves off of your energy. And you're seeing yourself decline here. How do you guys see your role in the relationship? Before I go on, dependent is starting to come through very strong. They're very sort of this has become a very codependent kind of relationship very quickly. How do you see your roles? Page of Swords and Four of Wands. They're trying to lock this down. And yet for you find yourself trying to maintain clarity here, trying to maintain some clarity and some confidence for yourself. They are prepared to move forward. So some of you, this is a strange, I want to say very exhausting relationship that you're in with somebody who, well, maybe yes, honestly, there's no cup energy here. They want the love. This is Four of Wands. This is Wands energy. Yeah, they want the love, the relationship, the connection, the celebration, all of that. But is it true love here, right? Because ultimately, I feel like the toxicity here is that you're dealing with somebody who they like the idea of this connection. They love the idea of this connection. They love the money that comes with it. But they're also kind of like sucking you dry. And I believe at some point, listen, if there's nothing for them to get from you, could be a tricky situation of them leaving. That's when they may begin to disconnect, etc. But for right now, they're wanting to sort of lock this down with commitment here with that Four of Wands. Wow, and there is more gaslighting, toxicity, and a victory for them. So they continue to have success. They continue to feel great, luxuriate. They continue to celebrate this relationship and feel great about moving forward, wanting to commit. They continue to feel a sense of victory and yes, I've done it. I got you. There's a real feeling of satisfaction. And yet you find yourself feeling more and more and more unstable, destabilized, insecure. You begin to find yourself feeling very much attacked and unable to sort of move in the way you want to move, act the way you want to act. There is such a power shift, such an energy shift here, Cancer, in terms of how you're riding quite high and confident and concentrated and focused and stable here, and you slowly decline, and with this person who slowly increases and just gets, and it just feels like such a siphoning of your energy. Ultimately, what is the possible outcome here? Well, excuse me, for you end up really, Cancer, you're juggling a lot. You may have to do that to maintain your own stability here, right? This person, they may indeed find themselves out here, right? They have a Five of Cups. That's a mourning, a loss. Something may come through that kind of breaks this up or changes this dynamic here, and they may indeed find themselves later on, mourning this loss of this connection if you kind of if it falls apart. I just don't see how long you're going to be able to maintain this, because they can only take so much from you, once you're empty. And it almost feels as though that once you're empty, they're going to step off. And yeah, they're going to miss you, but they're going to miss what you were useful for. And it's almost like, oh, yeah, that being with that Cancer was great. I really got a lot out of them. So, it's sad that they only had so much to give, right? That kind of attitude. It's dark, man. Listen, it's dark. But that's the vibe I feel, Dark, dark, dark. Vengeful also. And not vengeful, but you may begin to feel like that once you realize. But yeah, this kind of like, too bad they could only last so long, or too bad I could only squeeze so much out of them before they were, finished, and I had to move on. So sad. And that's kind of what that vibe that's comes through. Meanwhile, leaving you really to have to juggle a lot to get back on your feet. So do take care. Listen, this is a very sort of difficult connection with somebody who is inherently someone who just sucks you dry. Just sucks you dry and takes so much from you. And then once you're done, they're gone, So do take care here. That's it. I'm going to leave it at that. We will be right back with the third reading for Aries. Hello, Aries. Let's get right into pulling your toxic shadow energies. Guarded, robotic, superficial, disillusioned, and embarrassment. Wow. All right. So robotic, superficial, and disillusion are already jumping out at me. But let's go ahead and see what this is going to be all about. We're going to get right into pulling your cards for this toxic love connection. So this is a toxic love connection that you have with somebody in your life, right? So let's just say you're coming in with the Nine of Pentacles, Death, Knight of Wands, Seven of Wands. Your person in this connection, Six of Swords, Eight of Cups, wow, Four of Pentacles, and Strength. At the bottom of the deck, you have Four of Cups. So somebody who is just not, either you or your person, just not engaging, not willing to connect. There's quite a few shadow cards here already. So Aries, let's go ahead and get right into your reading. Nine of Pentacles is how you come in, and Six of Swords. So listen, your person is moving away. They're turning their back and they're going to say, all right, it's time for me to move. It's time for me to get on with it and get on with my life. You're coming in right now with Nine of Pentacles energy, in as much as a lot of blessings are coming in for you right now, right? A lot of blessings that you've worked for. You're doing quite well, Aries, in and of yourself, just in your life right now, you're doing very well, especially in your job, with your health, just in your physical surroundings, you're doing very, very well. So let's see how we can get a little bit deeper here. So, and see, what is the toxicity? They're very happy. Right now, your person's very happy. With this move, you continue to be focused on your life and your career and your goal. But now, how do you guys see each other? This is interesting. Death energy is here for you, and Eight of Cups for them. So you see them as death, in as much as there's a definite change here, Aries. Something has happened here in this connection between the two of you. For them, Eight of Cups. So listen, they see you as having really walked away. Something has happened here where you're the one who walked away from this. You're the one who turned your back and said, look, I'm done here. But right now what you're going through is seeing your person also be done. You may be seeing them also be done. There's something that's fundamentally changed here in this connection. Now, they are presenting quite happy right now. They are presenting as if they know what they're doing. They're very happy. They're moving on with their life. It's almost as if they've had no choice, right? But let's go further. Hermit energy and Ace of Pentacles. Definitely a new opportunity has arisen for them. The Hermit is there. I wonder what the toxicity is. It's almost as if like you guys are seemingly healing from this connection, but the Hermit energy is there, in as much as Aries, you're quite solitary right now. You're living, you're alone. You're working on yourself. You're working on yourself very much. Now, listen, for some of you, it could be that this individual is the one who moved on, right? From you, and you just had to sort of get yourself together. But I don't know. I don't feel like it. I feel like you're the one, it could be vice versa, right? It really depends. But you're the one in particular here who has started off with a focus on yourself, bettering yourself, and you've been quite happy to be on your own. This individual here, it almost feels as though they're moving on with another person. They're moving on with another connection or another relationship. Now, this is where it starts to get a little bit interesting. There is a feeling of them losing some security here. Four of Pentacles is how they see their role in this relationship, and Knight of Wands is how you see yours. So it almost feels as though that you are sort of trying to maintain some positivity here. and yet they aren't. They're kind of like, they're worried about their stability here. They're worried about sort of maintaining themselves. It could be that you two have broken up and you're kind of going your separate ways, but there may be some financial entanglements here, Aries. This may be, you guys may be married or you may be going through a separation. And what's happening here is that there begins to be an issue over the money because you're clearly doing well and moving on. You're fine on your own right now. You're getting into a different stage in your life. They also seem to be clearly happy with having moved on. They're quite happy. They see that you've done stuff with your life. They have an opportunity here. They have a new opportunity here for a strong connection coming in, a relationship and a new opportunity. And you guys are all good with that, except boom, here is where it kind of, and it's almost, it feels as though that there begins to be an issue over finances. All right. What maybe you guys agreed to before, you don't agree to anymore. Excuse me. And you're the one, it feels like, Aries, that you're the one who's kind of trying to maintain, civility, or at least trying to be still positive. But you could also be right now feeling a little bit irritated, Knight of Wands in shadow, just by the fact that they're being so stingy right now. They're all of a sudden being really difficult, you know what I mean, about certain things. It could be that, you're moving on or they're moving on and it's like they don't want to pay anymore. This may be an issue over alimony or some kind of payment situation where like, okay, yeah, now we're finally both moving on. Why should I keep paying you? I don't know. It just goes a little bit sideways here. And it's definitely about, finances, assets, etc. And so unfortunately, this turns into an issue about money. 3 of Pentacles, you're having to really work with others, and 5 of Cups. Yeah, and I think some of this, what ends up happening here with this connection, this definitely feels like a connection where you guys have kind of broken up, but you're at that kind of final stage, perhaps, of dealing with the money, or hashing out the finance, the assets, or some kind of disentanglement, physical disentanglement. And it just causes a lot of pain here. And ultimately, I think what you find out through all of this is that your person still misses you. And this is kind of the last bits of it. 5 of Cups is there. It's as if this final stage that will really be this, the severing of ties and the real true walking your separate path. They're scared of that. And it's like the last little bit of the pain of separating and being, yeah, okay, I guess it's really over. I'm going to miss you, sort of thing. And so this all gets a little bit tied up here in the financial issue. Now, how do you're working with others, you're trying to move forward. I think that you just find out through this process that your person is a lot more hurt than they let on. And again, yeah, you were the one who walked away. I think that perhaps they gave you the impression that they were happy and everything is great, but you find out that, in fact, they're still kind of mourning the loss of this relationship. 7 of Wands and Strength energy. Well, this is possible outcomes for you. There may indeed be a bit of a battle here to maintain, what you've worked for. And for them, strength, it could come in. Listen, there may continue to be some issues over pride and ego here, because strength energy, also Leo, some of you may be dealing with Leo energy, Aries, in your chart or in your person's chart. But, this strength in shadow, your person, Aries, may be, as they realize they're still kind of hurting here, they may become even more arrogant. They may become even more prideful and indignant. Hence the reason why you find yourself having to fight even harder. It's almost as if everything was great, but at this stage, everything kind of was working smoothly in the separation, distance, breaking up, etc., whatever. But now that you're in the final stages of really disentangling yourself, it's almost as if all the toxicity has bubbled up again, and your person goes right back to resorting, or perhaps newly resorting to sort of some real nasty tactics to hold on to money or to not give you what you want, all in an effort to deal with a lot of the pain that they still have about this breakup. So it can indeed be guarded. They're very guarded about a lot of things, but at the same time, there's a lot of disillusionment here about what's really going on. And of course, embarrassment feels strong here too, in as much as how they behave. They may really just suddenly come out of their skin in the way they behave towards you, and it just makes no sense. And it may be very embarrassing because it's so obviously about the fact that they're still hurt. Yeah, this is a difficult stage, of the breakup for you, Aries, and it's gonna be a little rough. They're gonna make it a bit rough for you, especially for those of you who are getting an official separation, a divorce, or you're moving out. You're separating your physical lives. You may have been living with this person, and this separation may have been taking several months, and everything again was quite quiet. But now things really, really begin to heat up a little bit. And it's almost as if you're taking a few steps backward before you finally take that one step forward to be completely disentangled from this person. All right, Aries, this is your toxic love reading. I read for Cancer today. And what was the other one? Taurus, Cancer, and now you, Aries. Thank you so much for joining me. Please go ahead, like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this video. And that's it. I'm going to leave it at that, folks. Thank you so much. Please do join me on my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot, every Monday for the toxic love reading, where I pull 3 random signs and we take a look what toxic connections are affecting you for the coming weeks. But this is it. Thank you so much. I wish you all love, life, and happiness, and I hope to see you guys again. Bye-bye.